Hello, everybody. Today we're going to be talking about factors of production. What these are they are the inputs needed to produce goods and services. This is going to be measured by GDP or gross domestic product. What GDP is the market value of all final goods and services, usually measured by an entire country's GDP. So we have four factors of production in total. The first one is land, and then we have labor, then we have capital. Lastly, we have entrepreneurship. So briefly getting into land here, land is just the natural resources found on land. This also includes like in the air or sunlight or water, stuff like that. But yeah, it would encompass natural resources as well as actual land. And it's split up into renewable resources and non-renewables. The renewables are some examples are going to be water, solar, crops, etc. These are going to be resources that can be replenished quicker than they are depleted. And the opposite is true for non-renewables. They're depleted, so they're used quicker than they can be replenished, or they might not even be able to be replenished at all. Some examples of non-renewables are going to be stuff like oil, natural gas, coal, things like that. Moving on to labor, labor is going to be the effort from individuals to produce goods and services. So that's what labor is, and it's kind of split up into physical labor as well as mental labor, and then anywhere on that spectrum. So, for example, for physical labor, maybe like a factory job would be completely physical, not much mental processes getting used in some of the more basic factory jobs. And then going on over to mental labor, something like that might be consulting, something where you don't actually have to physically do too much, maybe chart up some graphs or something like that. But usually with something like consulting, it's going to be using your own mental processes to solve problems for companies or whatever those companies needed you to do. Third, going into capital. So what capital is, it's going to be the money used to purchase items that are used to produce the goods and services. So some examples of capital would be trucks, railroads, or trains, or factory machines, basically anything that would be used to produce the goods and services, and then the money used to buy those machines and such, that's going to be the capital. So one of the bad things about capital is it does depreciate over time. For example, and depreciation is the decrease in value of assets. So for a good example of depreciation, something like a truck. So if a truck is on the highway every day, it loses value because the engine starts to wear, maybe some of the metal starts to rust over time. The value isn't there as what it was initially when you probably first purchased the truck. So that would be an example of depreciating a capital asset over time. And then lastly, we do have entrepreneurship. What this is it's the utilization of all three of the previous ones. So utilization of land, labor, and capital to produce these goods and services. And what entrepreneurs do is they have to risk their own capital and their own funds, their own time to try and produce products and services that are affiliated with land, labor, and capital. That's what they use to get these products and services. And then they're trying to compete in the open market for consumers to purchase their products. So they endure the risk because they're the ones sacrificing their time and money to try and create products for consumers to buy. And if, consumers don't want to buy their products, then they'll just get outcompeted in the marketplace, and then they'll end up having to go out of business. So the more competition there is in an economy, usually the higher quality of goods and services are produced because a bunch of different entrepreneurs and groups of entrepreneurs who start companies, they all compete with each other to try and win the consumer's business. So when they're competing, they're forced to make as good products as they can at the lowest possible price to try and win consumers' business. And obviously us consumers do want high quality goods and services at low prices. So that's why entrepreneurship is extremely important. And the more people in an economy that are entrepreneurs creating goods and services for consumers, the better the economy usually is. So that's going to wrap up kind of the factors of production. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Thank you.